All right. Appreciate you all for coming. This is our spring student-focused CIT WLT. We're going to get to introductions here very shortly. We have a special guest, Dr. Joel Michaelis, our Vice President of Instruction here at SEC, that is going to kick us off with a few words. Thank you, Dr. Michaelis.
Good morning. I don't always have these on my calendar, and so I don't always know. So thank you so much for running into me in the parking lot and inviting me out to come in. The WLT process is really important for us at the college, and we've been able to do a lot of incredible things in a lot of our programs over the last couple of years. We really changed from an advisory board model to a WLT model, and you say, well, what's the difference between an advisory board and a workforce leadership team? Nothing except the name. No, I'm teasing. There's a lot different. And the reason we thought it was important to change the name because we were changing the focus. The focus now is on these guys and on you. The focus in the past, if we did it right, it was still on these guys and you. But it tended to be more faculty driven, not casting any aspersions on our wonderful faculty, but it tended to be very faculty driven. The faculty were driving the agenda, and they would ask the questions, and they would do all of that. Now, really, you notice they're in the back of the room because this is what's important. Okay? And the reason that this is important is because you guys are going to have a conversation, and they're listening and they're paying attention. And what they do is they think about, okay, how does our curriculum need to change? What are these guys saying that they need that we're not doing or that we could do better? So it's really a listening thing. And so it's, hey, tell us when we're doing things that are great. We want to hear those things. Listen, everybody loves to be told when they're awesome, right? But I can't get more awesome if I'm not told the places where we can improve. And that's where you guys come in, and that's what today is. And it's just, so moments like this are special for us. We get excited about them. I could tell Jo was excited about it this morning when she ran into me in the parking lot. Otherwise, she wouldn't have invited me. So I seriously, these are good days for us because they're days that we either get affirmation that what we're doing is great, or we find out, oh, there's something we could be doing better, and now we know about it. And so anyway, it's an important day. It's a fun day. I love seeing so many students here. This is awesome. Love seeing the turnout from our wonderful industry. Thank you all for your time. We really appreciate it. These are all really busy people. So for them to take time out, it tells me that they find this valuable too. They think it's important. And one of the reasons, honestly, guys, and this is important for you students to know this, you're not just going to school to go to school. You're going to school to get a job, right? And they want to hire you. They wouldn't be taking time out of their day if they weren't excited about the graduates that we have coming out of this program. And so they see value in this process as well, or else they wouldn't be here. So I commend you on being here. I thank you guys so much for being here. And with that, I'll turn it back over.
Thanks, Dr. Michaelis. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So the purpose for our the first section here today will be a question and answer, open question and answer with our industry partners. So we're going to start with some introductions from the industry side, so you know what companies they work with, what their scope is, what they're looking for as far as future employees, and then we're going to open it up to you for questions. I would ask for the recording audience, if you could raise your hand when you have a question. We'll bring a microphone around to you. We've got one microphone. We'll run back and forth, but please raise your hand when you have a question. We'll get the microphone to you, and then we'll have a couple panelists answer each of those questions so we can get to as many of those as possible. And with that, David, would you mind kicking us off? Thank you.
I'll start this off. Hi, is this on? Yep. My name is David Anderson. I work for Five Nines. It is a managed service company for IT services, and I have about 30 years of experience in the IT field. I currently am the customer experience director, so really to make sure what our customers' needs are and to validate that we are doing everything we can to make their experience the best. I'll pass it on.
Morning, everyone. My name is Delonte Johnson. I work for Emeritus. So Emeritus is pretty big in the community. I'm sure you guys have seen their likeness plastered everywhere, but serve as insurance and financial services. I work as our security operations manager, so I work in cybersecurity. My team is responsible for investigating cyber threats, conducting investigations, things of that sort. Been with the company for 4 years. 7 years in cybersecurity and about 10 years in IT, cyber combined.
My name's Eddie Turner. I am the Director of Software Development at Sandhills Global. Changed our name a couple of years ago. New technology center out there is going to have our name on it. So we're really trying to invest a lot in you guys. I'm responsible for everything software-wise internally in our company and dealer-facing. So we deal with a lot of over-the-road trucks and trailers, construction equipment, farm equipment, so John Deere dealers, Cat dealers, those sort of things. And any of our software that's dealer-facing that they would use to upload and manage their inventory and those sort of things all falls under my control as well. So that's pretty much what I do. Thank you.
Good morning. Oh, come on, you can do better than that. My name's Steve Hartman. I'm the CIO at Duncan Aviation. So we have software development teams, we have sysadmins, network admins, security admins, tech services. We are the largest privately held MRO, which stands for Maintenance, Repair, and Overhaul, aviation company in the U.S. So we have 3 major centers in Lincoln, Battle Creek, and Provo, Utah. And then we have 30 satellites from Teterboro to Denver to Dallas to LAX. So thank you very much for having me here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miles Olson, Web Development Manager for Farmers Mutual of Nebraska. We're a PNC insurance company, so that means auto, farm, home, kind of your standard insurance policies. So I manage our web development team, so we work on our websites, maintaining those, and then a lot of background business processes as well. I'm happy to be here. Excited to answer questions. And I'm actually a graduate from SCC as well, so I've been in your shoes.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lori Schlitt. I'm with the state of Nebraska, and I'm one of the managers. I have a number of teams that report to me, including SharePoint. We have a COBOL mainframe. There's .NET. There's Java. There's OBIE, now known as OAC. It's in the cloud. And I think there's a couple of others as well. So we have a wide range of services that we provide for the taxpayers of the state of Nebraska. So one of the nice things about working for the state is you're helping people. You're helping all the people out there. We process all of your income tax returns. We have, like when you submit your income taxes, since that's on everybody's mind, we have one of the fronts where you enter in all of your data. So anything that you see, there's a good chance that we are part of that. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. With that, we're going to open it up for questions. Yvette and I are running the microphone, so please raise your hand if you have a question for one of these folks, and we'll work to get those answered for you. Nobody wants to go first, so I actually have one. Oh, perfect. I love that. We'll start here, and then we'll go to this gentleman.
Hi, thank you so much for being here, you guys. So this is kind of just a general question to all of you, if that's possible. So what would you say makes you unique or stand out from other possible companies here with potential employment opportunities? What are ways that you'd take care of your employees, or just different small things that are just make you stand out or make you feel unique to everyone here? So.
And Dane, can I have you give your name?
Oh, yes. My name is Dane Nelson, and I am currently an applications development student for CIT.
Awesome. Thank you, Dane.
I'm happy to start. Great question. So I will say that Farmers Mutual is a very unique company in that we are heavily invested in our values. Our core values of respect for our employees, and we really invest in the longevity of our employees. A lot of our interns, we look to bring them on as full-time employees, and we have a great record of longevity in our company. So those are the things that really are important to us. So I think that's kind of what separates us.
So one of the things that we try to do at the state of Nebraska is to be a family-friendly environment. We all know you have lives outside of work. And while sometimes you might have to work late, we try to be respectful, and if you need time off to take care of kids or parents or doctor's appointments or your ceiling's flooding, we try to work with you and do our best to make sure that you're able to do that. We also have a wide range of occupations that we need people for. We look for our interns. We try to work with you carefully to adjust our work schedule to your school schedule. So, and then as time goes on, we do our best to try and be respectful of that time outside of work as well.
Let's have everybody, if you can keep it to an elevator pitch, let's give everybody,
Sure. So what makes Duncan Aviation special? It's the people and the culture. So before Duncan Aviation, I worked for an international banking company, and we were headquartered in Paris, and it was 50,000 employees, and I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, it was brutal. It was cutthroat. It was anything to get to the top. It was schedules that were demanding and unrealistic. And coming to Duncan Aviation has been like 1,000 pounds lifted off my shoulders. They really do treat everyone like a family. The testament is, we celebrate retirements, but most of our retirees have been with the company for 35 to 55 years. So we're lifers there. And so, and you don't do that unless you've got a really great culture and people enjoy coming to work, because it's hard work. I mean, if you're an airframe, you're running a wrench and stuff all day long. So it's demanding work, but it's very pleasing and very enjoyable.
So Sandhills has a very family-driven culture. Everybody comes to work, and it's actually a fairly laid-back atmosphere. Even though I got this on, I promise. One of the biggest things that we've done recently to improve our employees, everything about them and their schedules and things like that, is we've gone to a 4.5-day work week. So every week, get a half day, just kick off and do whatever you want. You just tell us when it's going to be. Flexible schedules, to if you got a doctor's appointment or things like that you need to go to. We're very flexible with that sort of stuff. Continuing education, especially in the tech sector here, it's very important to stay up to date with a lot of the things that you're working on. So we work with all of our employees to fund the continuing education, and interns, like I think was mentioned before, very flexible on our intern schedule. So whatever works with your class schedule. Obviously, we want some hours during the week, but we basically set that around your schedule.
So at Emeritus, I would say we also, kind of live our values. I won't go through all of them, but generosity and community, those are a big part, and that's part of the reason why I'm here. For me personally, being in the tech industry, what drew me to it was variety, and having worked for a very small company and having worked for a very large company, multi-international, Emeritus is in the sweet spot. So it's not too small where you're doing everything and you're not really gaining the skills to become great at something, but it's not too big to where you're pigeonholed into being the guy for just this one thing. So working at Emeritus, you get a lot of variety of work. You get to do a lot of different things. You get to take those to different levels. And so that's really something that I've become quite fond of while working for Emeritus.
At Five Nines is one of the largest managed service companies that's homegrown, meaning they haven't grown through acquisition, they haven't grown through buying out anybody. They've grown through just word of mouth. We don't do a ton of marketing. It's just word of mouth, neighbors, friends, like, hey, these guys are taking care of me, you should go call them. We have up to 150 employees now. We're opening markets in Nashville and Greensboro as well currently. Managed services is an interesting environment, right? You show up to work every day. It's not the same thing. You're going to be talking to, 10 different clients that have 10 different fires. So if you like fast-paced work, if you like something different every day and challenging, it's definitely what you're looking for. Other than that, echoing my colleagues up here, very, very family-oriented. We're all in it together. You're not on an island trying to solve the world's problems by yourself. You have an entire team behind you. Somebody's seen it before. Somebody can help you get through it. Our goal is to just make sure the client's business is running. And that's it.
Hello, I'm Zach. I am a applications development student here at SEC. My question for you guys, and this might be self-explanatory for some of you, but are you working with mostly internal people, or are you working with outside companies and clients?
I guess I'll start. So obviously, we sell products, right? So we sell our advertising products, our online products, our website products. So those are our end users that we sell our services to. As far as our team is concerned and who's working on these, we do have a few outside contractors that work on projects for us where there's needs to fill. That's why we're here. We'd rather fill those needs internally with employees at Sandhills, but we do have some contractors and things like that.
Thank you for the question. Oop. Grab that. So we mainly work internally. So I will say that to give you a little bit of context, we are an insurance company that has a home office here in Lincoln, but we do service in Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. So we have agencies, independent agencies spread throughout those states. So we do some, work with our internal employees as well as interactions with agencies, and we're helping to serve them from an IT perspective with their own portal and their own tools and everything like that. So there's definitely a mixture of internal and external in what we do.
We have a mixture of internal and external as well. We have a number of pieces of off-the-shelf software that we support. We have an ERP system that we support, as well as the OAC that's in the cloud. We have several managed cloud servers where we are testing and thinking about integrating our software to. But we deal with all 90 plus agencies of the state. So that's clear across the state, as well as working with vendors. And on occasion, we do deal with a few people from outside, some of the taxpayers.
Thank you. Next question. Yes. It's a popular row here.
Hello, I'm Karina Edmonds. I'm also an applications developer with the CIT. I was wondering what kind of work we could expect as interns with your company, as well as entry-level positions for some of us that are on our last semester.
I'll jump in. So at Duncan Aviation, if you're an application developer, we've got all different kinds of positions that we would be looking at, and we are looking for interns right now. On application developers, We're going to bring you in as an intern. You're going to be working on a number of our core systems and learning that. And I can tell you right now, if this scares you, then we're not the company for you. But we've got modern programming languages. We got Dockers, Kubernetics, and stuff. We have RPG. So we run the entire spectrum for the last 50 years of technology and stuff. And so you would get a very in-depth look at a whole history of the programming languages that are out there. In addition to that, how many are not in an application developer? Okay. So our interns are our system admins, networking, help desk, tech services and stuff. You would come in and as a intern, for the first week, you're going to shadow somebody and follow them around, but we're going to start giving you work. And so the work for us is constantly changing. We cover a lot of space. I mean, we're on both sides of the airport. If you've been out, if you've seen Duncan Aviation, we just built 3 new hangars, 46,000 square foot hangars, and those all have offices on the second and third floors there. So we're constantly moving ports. Teams are moving around. We're building a new engine overhaul facility, so we're doing all the wiring. We work with contractors and stuff. So there's an entire litany of tasks and stuff that we would assign to you. And again, our job as employers, we believe for our interns, is to train you on how to do things according to our process, but then give you the ability, or you show up with the ability, but give you the authority to start acting on your own. We will, if you have questions, you can come back and stuff. We will probably double check some of the work, but at the same time, you're not going to have somebody looking over your shoulder. We're going to give you the authority to go out and make decisions and do some of the work. So.
On the app development side, we have an entire department for our interns. So our interns come in. We have a very structured program that we've set up where you first go through a series of different applications and get familiar with kind of the different frameworks that we use. Once you go through those training projects there, then you'll be put into a development team that we have. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 weeks for somebody to get through that training. Sometimes it takes 6 to 8 weeks. It really depends on, the individual and, the amount of time your schedule allows is really the big one. Some people can do 20 or 30 hours a week, and some people are more like 15 hours a week. And so it definitely affects how fast you get through there. But once you're through there, you're working on real projects with the team. You're just a team member on there. Obviously, we have to, give you the projects that work with your schedule. But you're going to be rolling out production code. So as soon as you get through there.
So obviously, I can't speak to the app development side, but I can speak to cybersecurity at Emeritus. So security at Emeritus is broken up into 4 areas. So there's security operations, which is my team. There's security engineering, which is responsible for like the upkeep of our security systems. There's vulnerability management, which is responsible for patching vulnerabilities, ensuring secure configuration. And then we have risk management, which is kind of the softer side of security, so evaluating risk and kind of advising the other areas as well as the organization as a whole. And our intern program is pretty robust, so we have all of our interns are kind of grouped together, and there are daily Scrum meetings in which we use Jira, that there's different tasks that are kind of assigned every day to different interns. You can kind of pick them up, and we identify which area of those 4 kind of makes sense for the individual, right? So what are your interests? What are your abilities? And you kind of work primarily with that team. But then we, like I said, we kind of switch it up and have you working with all the different teams. So you get exposure to all the areas. And again, you are just like a team member. So there are some additional checks and things like that. But, when you're working in investigation, you have, all the access, the visibility that we would have as a normal team member to conduct an investigation. So.
Awesome. Thank you. A quick show of hands. How many of you are hiring for interns at your company right now? How many have open positions for entry-level employees right now? And then if we were to break it down by focus area, and I know that, but computer support, how many have current openings for computer support? Network management, application development, cybersecurity. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Next question.
My name's Britton, and I'm doing networking in CIT. And my question is what do you want from us to be to get to the level of internship? Like, what requirements before we become an intern should we meet to be in your business or company?
I'm going to start that one off, since we're actively always looking for networking and service and computer IT people. With 5.9s, we're, as I mentioned earlier, we're a service company, right? The most important thing that we need you to have is the ability to communicate. As we assign you projects, as you're working with a client trying to fix a networking issue, the ability to communicate is what helps us succeed. What you did, what the problem was, how you solved it, and any next steps. It's very simple. So whether that's communicating over the phone, in person, trying to, maybe they want you to come in and explain to the board of, hey, this was a big network outage. Can you help us understand what's going on? So anything you can do to always work on your writing skills, your verbal skills, your just personal skills is probably the number one. We see IT, we see technology as something that we can easily teach somebody. We can teach you how to fix computers. We can teach you how to configure networking switches. We can teach you a lot of this stuff. Some of the things we can't teach you and we would like you to display as we're looking in the hiring process is that personability, that ability to communicate clearly, and being a helpful type of person, especially in a managed service business.
I'll just be brief. So I would certainly echo that. I would say communication, accountability, and strong desire to learn.
Yeah, I'll echo the soft skills. Anything that you can do to improve, that communication with others, just that ability to, be teachable, motivation, drive, work ethic, those sort of things are things that we look for. Hard skills on the networking side, I mean, we need you to have a good understanding of network layers, TCP IP, everything else that you need, just good core understanding of kind of the basics around networking, and the rest of it's teachable. I think that's really the common theme here.
Yeah, I would agree with all the panels. I think the soft skills are really important because that we're looking for you to come in as an intern. You're part of the company now. So we need to make sure that you fit with the culture. And so having good communication, the ability to be teachable and stuff. As far as hard skills, though, on networking, again, you need to understand the networking basics. If you don't know how to configure a router or switcher, we can teach you that, but you need to understand the basics of that. If you're on a sysadmin team, we're probably going to want you to have PowerShell, because that's how we do a lot of our scripting. So being able to have those kinds of skills. If it's a tech services, like on the help desk, it's going to be general computer awareness. We don't, again, we're hiring you as an intern to help our customers. If we spend all of our time helping you, where you never get to help the customers, it's really not a win-win for us. And so you need to have the basics there. But at the same token, we're not expecting to come in and operate at the level of someone who's been on a help desk for 5 years and is a level 3. So, but those are the basics. Did I miss? Cybersecurity, it's going to be a little harder to be an intern in cybersecurity because just the level that we're starting at, it's not impossible, but we've tried an intern before there, and it just doesn't seem to be, it doesn't stick as well as other times now.
Awesome.
Again, it may be that we're a small shop, so we start in and we start at a pretty high level and we start going pretty quick. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable and you're successful in that as well. So we'll figure it out, though.
Miles and Lori, other than the soft skill piece, are there any hard skills that you'd like to add to the conversation?
I will say that good grades are always a great indicator that you're of your drive to succeed and learn, as well as a demonstration of your skills too. So just to echo that, but everything else that everyone has said is really relevant. So very, very good lessons here.
I would agree with all of that. And in addition, typically for our interns, we're looking for people who are further along in the program, like they've gone through the first year or so. We do occasionally make exceptions to that, but people who have, a semester or two out from graduating are great candidates. We will work with you and mentor you and teach you what else you need to know. If you wanted to come in and you're early on in your CIT career, then a great way to get in is through our operations or our help desk. We're always looking for people in those areas, and that way you get to know the organization and you get to know what every team does. So for people earlier, that's always an option.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question.
So I'm making a major transition in my life. I'm going from Sampson Construction for 10 years, welding iron worker. So my resume won't be good, but I'm wondering what are the skills, and even if there's certificates, because just like you said, for cybersecurity, it's kind of hard to get into. So what do I need to do to build my resume to get into that position?
Could you share your name?
Cameron Chanel is my name.
I will go ahead and answer that one. I would say work to get an internship. Good grades. There's recruiting efforts that come. Go to every one of them. Get to know the people, get to know the organizations. And, once we get to know you and your interests, we can look for a place. Don't be afraid to get a job with a help desk or operations so you get to know the organizations.
That's a great question. I was in your shoes. So I was 35 years old. I was in restaurant management, and I went back to Southeast Community College in Milford and got my associate's degree. So the fact that you're making a change tells me you're motivated already. As far as working on your resume, some of the things that you can look at, and one of the things that I did that really helped me a lot was I found a volunteer position with community groups or associations or other things where they needed someone to come in and do computer work, set up a little tiny network of 3 computers and set up their antivirus and set up their vulnerability scanning and doing all these types of things that you can put on your resume and say, I work for this association for this amount of time and these are all of my responsibilities. And that goes a long ways towards building your, and plus it gives you a lot of the skills. Sorry, instructors, I don't mean to disparage you, but learning in it by textbook is way different than learning by the school of hard knocks. That's when you really learn how things work and how things get done in an efficient manner. And so I would encourage anyone to find, and again, you're helping the community. You're taking an organization, something maybe you're passionate about, and helping them while still building your resume and your skills?
I guess just a small thing. I mean, if you kind of look around at some of these people that are coming fresh out of high school, you have no less tech type things on your resume than they do. So, I mean, it's a pretty even playing field. You got more experience in the real world elsewhere. So
I would say, for me, cybersecurity is definitely like a career. It's a passion. It's not a job. And so when I'm looking for people, whether that be full-time or interns to serve on my team, I'm looking for someone that exhibits that passion. And so that goes above and beyond, like your schoolwork or your job responsibility. So there's lots of ways to demonstrate that, right? Obviously. So helping, nonprofits, kind of helping them with your skills, certifications, conferences, things that are outside of this is required for my degree or this is required for my job, to me goes a long way and kind of puts you above the pact.
Are you looking in programming or just IT in general?
My degree will be
cybersecurity. Perfect. So it's interesting. One of the things that I did was, as I was going to school, the biggest thing that helped me was to get kind of a simple certificate, right? Security Plus, even A Plus, Net Plus, some of these simple thing. And then I just put it on my resume and started looking for jobs, right? Even while I was going to school. One of the great things, I know in your situation, like 5.9s, we do this reboot program where we allow people from different careers. It's like, hey, I've been an auto mechanic out in McCook for the last 20 years. I kind of want to get into computers. And so it's not really an internship program, but it's like a reboot program. It's like we'll take you in, because what you have is, like it was already said, you have experience in the real world communicating with people, right? That's huge. That's a big foot in the door. You get a certificate under your belt, you continue your schooling, and you just start out small in the help desk stuff, and you definitely get to where you want to go in the end. There's A Plus, Security Plus, Net Plus. Those simple. Yeah.
Any other entry-level certs that folks would recommend to this group as potential options?
My only comment there was start with some of the, I hate to call them simple, but the lower, because they're less costly. Like if you try to go out and get your CISSP right now, that's a lot of work. It's a huge investment, and it's like $500 to take the test, and if you fail, it's another $500. So, and I will tell you, probably about a fourth of all the people that take a boot camp fail the test first time around. So, but don't be discouraged. Again, like I said earlier, or the gentleman you're talking about, if you put like Security Plus or A Plus, or Network Plus, or Cyber Plus, or anything, it shows you're driven. You're interested in a career, you're not just job hopping, and you're not just trying to find something that fits. You know what you want to do. It's also demonstrating on your resume, I've got this, I've accomplished this, and I'm applying it. Again, find some way to apply those skills in a job type setting, even if it's not paid. Tons of nonprofits that are just begging for somebody to come in and help them with the computer stuff. So to me, I'd look at that and I would say, motivated person, very driven for results, and is willing to help the community. And those three things tell me you're a good fit culturally, technically, with a company.
And I think with here at SEC, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of these classes that you guys are offering kind of help push towards some of these lower certifications that right. So, I mean, take the classes, take the test is the important part at the end, because that little certification, you put it on your resume, they see you at least have a understanding of what we're looking for.
Last piece on that, another opportunity for those of you that I think Steve was talking about as far as getting experience, real world experience. There's I don't know if all of you have heard of Skills USA, but there are multiple opportunities and programs and competitions related to cyber networking programming that would be a resume builder as far as, again, and the potential to represent on a national level. So.
We have several people joining us in the online forum, and I have some questions from them. The first one is from Colton. He's an applications development student, and he would like to know, he or she, would like to know what achievements or milestones would you like to see, or what you would expect from an entry-level developer within the first 6 months to a year.
So definitely, for an entry-level position, at that point, you've got your degree under your belt, so that's a great achievement there. I would say, with Farmers Mutual, when we have our entry-level developers, we're working with you and going at your pace, but you're working on real projects. So, getting those projects done, being a team player, demonstrating, your great communication skills and willingness to take and ownership of the work that you're given is really, really important. And it shows that, you are a fit for the team and everything. So I think that goes a long way, for those kind of critical first 6 months. So.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is be detail oriented. In your first 6 months, your code's going to get reviewed by a mentor and stuff. And so don't have sloppy mistakes. Don't have, make sure that it's clean and you've tested it multiple times before you bring it to your mentor. It's going to do a lot towards setting your reputation within the company and also learning those skills. Now, if you struggle with something, you're like, I can't quite figure out why this is not working, it's not functioning as is, go to your mentor. Don't just sit there. But I will say this. At Duncan, I'm not sure about everybody else, but I'm going to be willing to bet everybody's on board here. If you come to your mentor and you haven't done any research at all on how to fix the problem first off, that's not a good look. So spend some time, but don't go down the rabbit hole where you spend a month trying to figure out a logic problem when you can have your mentor. Spend a few hours and stuff and then reach out for help.
I don't know how many times I've had that conversation with people saying there's a sweet spot between spinning your wheels for days and not researching. Find that sweet spot. So that's one of the big things that we look for there. Aside from that, I think you really hit the nail on the head as far as being detail oriented. You're gonna. One of the things that I always see is people that come in, they're tasked with something, and they end up making the change that they think is appropriate to get that specific feature to work, not realizing that they broke 6 other things in that product. So when you get something, take a little bit of time to understand the product that you're working on, whatever it's a website or a program, whatever it is, and understand how it works and how it's supposed to work, and then go ahead and implement it. The next time you get something for that, it's going to be 10 times easier to work on. It's going to help you in the long run.
From the application side, then, did you have anything else to add to that before we?
I would agree that with what everybody has said, that you're going to have a mentor, you're going to be working with them. Within the first week or two, you're probably going to be putting something in production, depending on what's needed. It might be small, but you'll get to experience what it is beginning to end. It's very important to be detail-oriented, and listen to what your mentors have to say. I don't care what organization you go in, be ready to learn, because you're going to have a lot of training. You're getting some base skills here at school, and once you're out in the real world, that's when a lot of the learning really begins.
Other questions?
Can I just add something here? Whether you're intern or entry-level position, please ask questions when you don't understand, because IT is the worst at using TLAs. Everybody know what a TLA is? It's a 3-letter acronym. So we will talk in TLAs about TLAs all day long, and if you don't understand certain terms, don't be embarrassed to say, and just go, well, I'll figure that out some other time. I'll Google that and something. Ask so that you can understand what it is, because if you don't understand the impact of what that change might have on other components downstream, you could break something and stuff. And so don't be embarrassed. All of us were in the same boat. We're just like, even now, it's like somebody will be like my security officer will be talking to me, and he'll say some term, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? What's that? I've never heard that term before in that context." And so, don't be embarrassed. Ask to make sure that you understand. Sorry.
Next question.
I had an anonymous question. You can. What can this group expect from an interview?
I guess you want to go?
It is not easy. I will definitely say that. But I do think one of the important things is to tell your story. Answer the questions honestly, of course, and just if the career trajectory change is a great example, because I've been through that as well, and own that. That's your story. You're showing your passion for taking ownership of your career by saying, I wanted to make a change, I made the change. So that's a great example of a mindset to approach an interview with. Know your skills, obviously be prepared to answer those skill-oriented questions, but also be able to talk about yourself, promote yourself in a positive way. That's very important.
The one thing I would add to that is it is scary. I get that. You're looking for a job and it's like, oh my gosh, this can make or break me and stuff. But take a deep breath, relax, be yourself. Don't portray yourself as somebody that you are not in an interview, because that will come to light sooner than later. So just be yourself, be as conversational with the person without being buddy. There's got to be a level of respect there and stuff, but just be yourself, take a breath. We're not there to devour you. We're not looking to just beat you up and show you how smart we are, because we were in your shoes. We know what that's like. But I would just say, exactly, be prepared to understand. Tell us, here's the most important thing I can tell you. When you go into an interview, be able to tell me why you are the right person for the job that I'm looking for. What makes you different than any other candidate? And think about that really hard to articulate what your value would be. What would you bring? Maybe you don't have the skills, but you have the drive. You really have a career aspiration to move down this, and you really want to work for Duncan Aviation. Articulate that and stuff.
I have a quick, I'll try to make it brief. Anytime that I interview somebody, the first thing that I'm looking for, so I already have a list we have your resume in front of us, right? And we have a list of your skills that you've noted down here, right? So we have a good idea of your skill set. The first thing that I look to evaluate is those soft skills. So communication is the big one. Like, can we just hold a regular conversation? Can we have a conversation about, it doesn't even have to be work related. It could be, what things do you like to do on the weekends? All those sort of things. And then the other piece is what drives you, what makes you want to do this thing, right? If we're going to hire you, why are you passionate about this? We want somebody that's going to stay here and work and really love what they do. So those are the two big ones.
Yeah, I think I would echo a lot of what's already been said, but you definitely want to be honest and authentic. My interviews are pretty heavily technical, so I'll ask questions that I don't expect anyone to answer all of my questions completely and thoroughly, but you're never going to know the answer to every question, right? So you're going to be put in situations where you don't know the answer, and I want to see, how do you respond to that? Do you just make something up? Do you own up to it? Do you follow up, and here's how I would come to that answer? Can you process the intent of the question and kind of say, okay, well, I don't know necessarily what this is, but here's something that may be adjacent, that I am familiar with, that I do have experience with. So those are the kind of things that you can expect from an interview, at least for me anyway.
I want to add a little bit of personal to this with my own experience. So I've, throughout the years, started at the bottom, went to the top, expert level certifications in several different areas, firewalling, networking, wireless, expert level. So here I am thinking, this is my path, this is my job. In that interview, just as it's been said, take that opportunity to really explain where you shine and what you have to offer. Because through that, they were able to see something more than just a high-level engineer. They were like, my goodness, you are exactly the person we need to really be in the forefront of our clients. You understand the technical, you understand the client side, what they're looking for, you know how to communicate well. We really need somebody over here, right? They weren't looking for that. They didn't even have a job for that. And they're like, well, we need this person. Maybe not for this job that he's going for, but we need this person for somebody else. Take that opportunity to know yourself, what you can bring to that company, and like I said, turn the question around. I've never seen that, I've never done that, but I have done this, right? And they'll be like, all right, great.
Hello, everyone. My name is John O'Donnell. I'm in cybersecurity here at SEC. I was wondering how your companies approach cybersecurity training and professional development for employees, and this could just be blanket to everyone else. Like, how do you help your employees grow?
So, training in further education is paramount in the industry. So, myself, I think I have over 10 industry certifications from 4 or 5 different governing bodies. Emeritus is great with supporting our professional development. So my team personally, it's huge. We create training plans for all of our staff every year, so they go to multiple trainings. So for instance, I think like this year we have like Elastic, Python training. We have some machine learning training. So we really are looking to always kind of, identify skill gaps and where can we improve and fill those with training. So it's something that is highly encouraged. It's, integrated into, our just training plans and just the culture of Emeritus as a whole. So definitely something where we put a lot of emphasis into the training.
So one of the things we do, obviously we have a mentor program, so we're constantly learning. But on the education side, every single employee goes to a conference every other year. So whether it's SANS training, whether it's going to, a conference, RSA, whatever it may be, to get you exposure to other things and other topics and ideas that are out there. And then the other thing that we do is whenever you go to training, when you come back, you're going to take one of my team meetings, and for an hour, you're going to explain all the benefits and what you learned out of that meeting and articulate it back to the rest of the team. So, but we spend, I hate to say it this way, but an enormous amount of money on training. I mean, our budget is ridiculous, but that's the way the company is. They know that this is what it takes to get these folks and keep you trained. If you want to take a certification, we'll give you time at work to study for the certification. We'll put you with other mentors who have that certification to do a Q&A and kind of help with the learning and stuff. And then we'll pay for the certification if it's a boot camp or the licensing. The only thing I will say, because I like Mr. Emeritus down here, it's like I probably have had so many alphabet letters behind my name at one point or another. But understand, when you get a certification like that, you have to have continuing education points, and it takes like 20 hours every year. And if you got like 18 different certifications, you're working full time just to keep your certifications up to date. So I've had, I think I only have 3 left that I actually spend time on concentrating on making sure that I keep those current, because it's, I got a real job now, so I can't just be a certification hound. Anybody else?
So you'll work at our organization, you'll work with a mentor who will show you what our standards are, how to do things, provide background information. After that, we do send people to training classes so that you can learn some of the advanced techniques. And we do that with several of our different teams. So those are some of the options. If you come across something that you're interested in learning, let us know, and we'll take it into advisement and see what we can do.
Do we have another online question?
Okay, this question actually comes from a couple of different people. One from Joseph, who is a cybersecurity student, and one from Leanna. They are both interested to know if you have any remote or hybrid work opportunities, and if so, what does that look like in a typical week?
I can state that, at the state, we're mainly working on-site in the offices. It's not remote, but we find that works better with communication on our teams, and it's easier to ask questions and find out information than it is to work remotely.
Farmers Mutual has a hybrid program, so we typically, when someone starts, at least for that first 6 months to a year, we want you on site, and that is really to help you get used to the culture and to be able to have easy access to your resources. And then from there, it's really a discussion of what might work for you. Typically, it's 2 days a week. Would be the work from home. That's kind of the current policy, but it's really it's dependent on the individual. So it's a hybrid situation.
So I'm going to answer this 2 ways. If it's an intern position, we want you on site so that we can help you, monitor you, teach you. If it's a full-time employment, again, based upon the position. If you're an application developer, we work hybrid, but it's probably 4 days remote, 1 day in the office, just because of the type of work that's being done. If you're a sysadmin or a network admin, it's really hard to go into a wiring closet from home. So we need you on site. If you're tech services, So depending upon the job position, there are different criteria for that, but our application developers are definitely in a hybrid position. I have some application developers that live an hour away from Lincoln, Nebraska. So, we will, if there's a quality candidate out there, we're going to hire them and make it work.
We're pretty much all on site.
Emeritus is hybrid first, so that would be 2 days home, 3 days into the office. We do have remote positions, so depending on where you're applying out of. Now, if you are based in Lincoln, you're going to have a tough time getting a full remote gig. But if you live in, say, Des Moines, where we don't have an office, then you would more likely be able to get into that remote position.
Managed services is very similar to Duncan, how entry level service desk, you're going to most likely be in the office, answering the phone calls around the other service engineers, being able to bounce stuff off each other. As you escalate into field services, obviously you're not going to be in the office because you're going to be out in the field all day going from site to site. And then senior engineers of that are pretty much up to them. They can come into the office, they can show their smiling faces, maybe pull out the grill and fry something up for everybody for lunch. Keeping everybody happy, right? But yeah, very, very hybrid.
Awesome. Next question.
My name is Aguirre, and I'm in network management. And I was just wondering, as employers, is it more beneficial to have someone have decent knowledge in many different tech fields, or be an expert in a certain field?
I can start that. We got both, and I've also grown in the field, seeing both in managed service business, network engineers that are extremely skilled on a variety of, whether it's systems, networks, wireless, firewalls, just everything, versus expertise in a particular item. It really depends on what the job you're looking for, right? Ideally, in an IT environment, you want to know a little bit about what everything's going, especially as you think about moving into a management level or a leadership position. The more you understand about what everybody's doing, the more you can be helpful in that area. When you focus on a priority or a particular skill set, you might be the expert in that, but technology changes so much. You better be keeping your skills going with whatever's replacing what you're expert at, because you might work yourself out of a job by staying so narrow.
So I'm going to counter a little bit on what David said there. Yeah,
gotta know your stuff.
Yeah, you do. So for cybersecurity, I would say it's a very vast field, and we get this question a lot, and I have the same answer, and it worked for me. Your mileage may vary. So I would say when you're young, you want to try a lot of different things, right? So because you may think that you want to do something, or you may think that you are skilled in something, but then when the rubber hits the road, so to speak, you find out that it's not what you wanted, or you're having more difficulties than you thought that you may have. And so trying different things is important, so then you can kind of find that intersection of what interests me and what do I like. And when you find that, you'll find that it's so much easier to accelerate well beyond your peers in whatever that is. So that's my advice, is try a lot of different things, figure out what you're good at, figure out what you like. And then when you find it, again, it kind of comes back to that like passion thing for me. So I've found a hobby outside of my job with COVID, which was woodworking. But prior to that, I honestly it was kind of too much, but I would be on a computer almost 18 hours a day. So I would go to work, then after work, I would be in a home lab doing different simulations and doing different things like that. And I'm not saying that you have to do that, but that was my hobby. It was something that really interests me. And so it really helped develop my skills to put me in the position where I am today. And so if you can find something to where it doesn't feel like work, it's actually just something you enjoy doing, then keep with that. Now, you can't get crazy with it, to David's point of, things evolved and you might have to kind of pivot a little bit. But if you find that, I'm sure that you'll be able to find a tangent that's aligned to whatever it was you were doing previously. So that's my answer.
I don't know if there's a correct answer, but everybody from an employer standpoint, wants somebody that has a ton of knowledge in a ton of areas, right? Like that'd be perfect, right? But that takes a long time. So honestly, I think, starting with something that you're passionate about is the way to go. If you're passionate about it, it doesn't seem like work to you. Get as good as you can there, present that skill set to your employer, let that, get you in the door. And then from there, grow. As these guys have said, find the thing that you're, maybe there's something that's you're more passionate about. Maybe there's just a lot of different areas that interest you. Explore them. Those are the sort of things that I always tell people. So.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I don't know that there is a correct answer. So you're in networking? Okay. So again, with networking, we really want a specific skill set, and so we're really concentrating on that vertical. But at the same token, to be a good network administrator, you need to understand how applications function. Maybe not every single application, but you need to understand how applications function. So when you see events coming through your logs, you can understand whether or not that's performing as it should be or not, and and it would help with your troubleshooting to be able to figure out, where are my bottlenecks, what's going on here, why is my latency so high on this area and stuff. So having that general awareness, but again, that comes with experience, it comes with time and stuff. So again, I would, if you, okay, let me back up a second. If you have determined already, this is my passion, this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do, I would concentrate on that vertical with the understanding that you need to learn all of the different peripheral around that, but it's secondary to my passion. But understand too, as you get older and you get more experienced, your passion may not change at all. So my story is, I was in restaurant management, made a change, went to Southeast, then I got my bachelor's, and I got my master's, and I was the state of Nebraska's first security officer. Cybersecurity was my passion, and that's all I did. I went from there after 10 years to Emeritus, and I was their director of IT risk and information security, and I did that. I got asked then when I went to Bank of the West to say, hey, we already got cybersecurity covered. We got 1,000 cyber engineers. So, but we need someone who understands cyber and this and these things to take on this new position that we're creating on operational resilience. And so they saw a fit from my skills and my soft skills to put me in a different position. And I was open to doing that. And that opened up a whole new window for me. And now I'm at a CIO position. Whereas if I would have stayed with my original, passion and cybersecurity, which, by the way, I'm very passionate about, still today, I read every article there is out there. I'm on all the news feeds and stuff. But if I would have stayed there in my career path, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'd be a CISO at a bank somewhere. So again, always be open to opportunities that come to you. They may come from left field and you won't even see it coming, but think about it, and if you take that leap, even if it doesn't work out, you're going to learn new skills, you're going to learn new things, and that you can go back into your original passion and apply.
Miles and Lori, from the application side, is there anything you folks would like to add as far as the... Oh,
no, what you said was really great. So from the applications development side, it is very similar. I would say, again, there's no right answer. Follow your passion. However, as a general rule, and look at SEC's curriculum as a great example, they don't have you just take Java classes and that's it. There's a variety that they're teaching you, and that's for a reason. The best way to start from a baseline is to get a taste of everything. And from a Farmers Mutual perspective, we like people who are flexible as developers, at least at the start. We'll work with you. We want your feedback on, hey, do you enjoy what you're doing? Do you like this kind of project versus this kind of project? And we'll start to kind of tailor your work, and you'll notice, as time goes on, you'll start to get those projects that you're, maybe more interested in, or, that sort of change will happen organically. And it's a great point that, careers in general will change. Your trajectory will just change, and you won't expect that. So being prepared and being passionate are great pieces of advice and the way to go. So
I would agree with those, and it's very important, even if you're an applications developer, to understand the network, to understand cybersecurity, because you're going to use those skills on a regular basis. Maybe you won't get in depth to setting up a switch, but you need to understand it so it will help you, figure out what is the issue with your program. Why isn't it working? Why isn't it communicating?
Awesome. We have about 15 minutes left, so we'll get to as many questions as we can from the panel. If it's a question you want to take, raise your hand so we can get the mic to you, and we'll try to run through as many of these as we can.
Hi, my name is Kaylee. I'm in applications development. Kind of touching on what you had all just discussed, I heard you all bring up variety. Coming from applications development, is the expectation to be a full stack developer, or is there options to be like more front end based or back end based, or is it kind of you want us to be familiar with all areas?
I can answer that question to start with. We have a wide variety of different skills that we need, and so what we look for is a good personality fit first. So if we can find out, when we do recruiting, we bring in a number of teams and let you talk to the teams. We find out what you're interested in, you find out about us. We try to find that good niche of what you want to do, and then we'll go from there. Even on those teams, there's different skill sets that we'll need, but you'll be working with a mentor. So we don't expect you to know everything as an intern or entry level, but we expect you to be curious and want to learn.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Having a full stack experience, at least in your education, I would say is important. But that training that happens, on the job for Farmers Mutual specifically, we will train you if you don't know something. Perfect example is Angular. You may not get that training in school, and so we will teach you how that works, and the willingness to learn is huge, and then sharing your feedback on how things are going as your journey progresses is also very important, so that we can tailor the work for you and help you to be the best team player that you can.
All right, thank you. Next question.
Hello, my name's Zach Ewing. How beneficial would it be to continue education and get a bachelor's degree other than associates?
I got the mic, so I'll start. That's a personal decision. There are a lot of people that have an associate's degree and have an outstanding career and stuff. But if you have the drive, if you want to, I'll say it this way, if you're interested in moving into management positions in a larger organization, many times a bachelor's degree is entry level. It'll just, resumes are all automated now. So they look for keywords and key skills. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, it just kicks it out and nobody even puts eyeballs on the resume. So if you're looking to get into a management type position eventually, or a supervisor or leadership position within a company, a bachelor's would be really good. Depending upon the technology or the skill sets. If you are in cybersecurity, I'm telling you, a master's degree, I thought, I had my bachelor's degree, and I was working. I was a CISO already, and I was working, and I thought, I know everything there is about cybersecurity. And I went to get my master's degree, and it was in Colorado Springs, and my instructors were all from NORAD, and they started talking 1,000 feet above my head on the first day, and I was like, oh my goodness, there's a whole world out there that I don't know about. So, but not every single person, that's what you need to do. It depends on what your career aspirations are and where is your comfort level. And, but you also have to look at where you are in your life and your work-life balance. I kick myself every single day that when I graduated with my master's that I didn't immediately apply for my doctorate and start right away. But I was so burned out on school at that point in time, I needed a break. I never went back. I looked at going back to get my doctorate just this spring. It would take me 18 months and $90,000. And I'm like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, I can either buy a brand new car or I can go to school and spend 40 to 50 hours a week. I have a friend of mine right now that's working on his PhD and stuff. He gets up at 4 a.m. every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to do all of his classwork so that he's done before his kids get up so he can spend the day doing all the kids' activities. So again, it's based upon your career aspirations. It's based upon where you are in your life, and there's a financial side of it. There really is. So I don't know if that answers your question completely or not, but if you're interested in any kind of management position or leadership position, I think a bachelor's degree is a bare minimum.
Anyone have anything else to add to that, Delonte?
I would say that it really does vary. I think that it's much less of a requirement today than it was, 10 years ago or especially 20 years ago. So at Emeritus, at least for security, it's not a requirement that you have a bachelor's. We have a lot of folks on our team that just have an associate's, and that's fine. It does come into play with like your salary and all of that sort of thing. So it's all calculated how much experience do you have, your degree and all that thing. So there are benefits to it. And there are some places where that is the requirement, but I don't think it's absolutely essential that you have to have it. But there are certainly some benefits to it.
Awesome. Other questions? All right, we'll go.
Hello, my name is Avery Dutton. I'm a computer support major, and I was wondering, would you be willing to hire computer support students in a more specialized area, like SharePoint or a networking position?
I know as far as what we look for, absolutely, depending on the position, right? And the experience that you might have. Computer support. In the managed service industry, we want you to have a basic understanding of supporting people and being able to communicate, and it gives you an opportunity. So whether or not you start there with the intention of moving to something more specific later on, that usually is you driving that discussion with your management at that, But starting out, there's a benefit to learning the systems, learning the people, learning how the business operates with their clients. But absolutely, if you have a passion and a desire to really gear yourself towards something like SharePoint management or a particular technology, we would want to encourage that and get you the training you need to move toward that. But we probably wouldn't start you out that unless you're like highly certified in that area already.
Anything else to add to that one?
There you go. All right. Hello, my name is Bryce Rosenberry. I am a cybersecurity major. We're all triple majoring with applications development and networking. And I am curious to know on what you guys offer for more offensive side for security, such as penetration testing or bug exploitation or all that other stuff.
Yeah, I can take that one. So generally we do contract out all of our offensive stuff for the most part. So we obviously don't have like a full-time offensive staff that are doing penetration testing. We'll do annual assessments and things of that sort. We do have like a DevOps or a DevSecOps team that looks at, like I guess kind of like some red teaming type exercises where we're testing vulnerabilities to kind of see their potential exposure and working with, or I guess it'd be purple teaming, I guess they would say now, where we're working with the app owners to say, okay, here are your vulnerabilities. We've validated them. Here are the risks that are associated with them. But yeah, we generally, you don't really see too many companies that have like an offensive team. It's going to be a dedicated company that does that as consulting for other companies.
Yeah, that's what we do as well. We use third-party company for pen testing and that sort of stuff, all that vulnerability assessment.
So when I was at Bank of the West, we did have a red team, we had a purple team and stuff, but you're going to find those in very large organizations just because of the skill sets and the staffing that you need. But at the same token, we always used external pen testers as well, and we had to do that for compliance. We had to have, it's tough to go to a regulator, the Federal Reserve, and say, oh yeah, we tested our own applications and they're great. They want to see a third party independent come in and say, we tested their applications and they're great. So there's that compliance side of it, which is why most of the companies are using external. But if you're really interested in working on the offensive side, red team, purple team, blue team, however you want to do that, you're going to be looking at a larger organization. But they'll hire somebody and they'll train you, and you'll be really dangerous then. So be careful.
Awesome. No other questions? Any questions? Got time for one? Yeah. All right.
Hey, thank you for letting me ask the second one. And this is kind of geared more towards the application guys, but this might apply to you as well. So recently, the NVIDIA CEO had kind of mentioned with the rise of AI that applications development the job security might not be there in the next 5 to 10 years. Kind of what is your take on that opinion, and what are some ways that you might possibly invest in your human developers in the next 5 to 10 years? Thank you.
I'll take that one. So my comment back to the CEO of NVIDIA is so you don't have any application developers building your stuff? There's always going to be a need for application developers. Even if you use an AI, unless you're incredibly foolish, you're never going to trust what the AI develops without having somebody else put eyeballs on it and run it and test it. And the NVIDIA guys have application developers that are building the AI models that they want to sell to you. So again, you got to also take it with a grain of salt where the message is coming from, because they're trying to sell $57,000 processors for AI. So anybody else?
I was reading an article here in the last couple weeks talking about AI, and it's really in its infancy at the moment. And basically what it said was, it can't do it all yet. It may never be able to do it all. That there's always got to be that human intervention factor who understands what it is that needs to be done to tell the AI. I've tried using, just ChatGPT and some of those things and gotten some very interesting responses from what I thought were very simple requests. So there's always going to be a need for people, and there's a need for all levels of technology, all languages, and AI isn't going to fit all of them.
Eddie, did you have something to add to that before we moved on? Or?
So we actually just deployed Copilot to all of our developers. We've been testing it with some of our more senior guys to see what kind of advantage they thought it had. I actually love it. It really improves the speed to market on a lot of different things, and so it's really it still needs a lot of input, right? So it is still young. There's going to be a point where it can generate a lot of code really fast. There's still going to need to be people there that have guide rails around it, and so generating scaffolding type functions and things like that, it's great at, and that's all the boring stuff anyway, right? So we go through and generate all that stuff really quickly, and then we get it into, okay, let's get this product to market. So we're trying to embrace it as much as possible. I don't see it replacing a lot of jobs in the short term. Long term, it could affect some of those, but we'll see.
So I'll be brief here. I just have a quick story that's kind of funny related to AI. So I'm also a big fan. Definitely makes a lot of things easier for me, mostly communication stuff. The technical things, not as much for me personally, but I could definitely see some upside. Having said that, there's still going to be the need for, human in the loop, so to speak, to give it that positive reinforcement. And just a quick story on kind of some of the blunders with AI and jumping into it too quickly. There was a car dealership, I believe in California. I don't know if anyone heard about this, but they had like some, what are those chat bots that, like, hey, help you set up a sale or whatever. And it was running like ChatGPT on the background. And basically someone tricked the prompt into selling the car for $1. And so who's fixing that? Is the AI fixing that, or is there a human fixing that? It's a human. So there's always going to be the need for a human somewhere in the process.
Awesome. Thank you, Delante. We have one more question, I think, from the online piece, and if we want to start at an end and go through for everyone that wants to answer that, if you don't have one, just pass it to the left or right where we're starting.
Okay, this last question is from Coleman, who is a network management student. The question is, how do you allow employees to freely express themselves in the workplace with things such as dress code, policies on body modifications, etc.?
That's a good question. So, I think it's a little bit different in a managed service industry where your focus is on the client and the success of that client, and so self-expression. There's a line somewhere. Obviously, if you're just on the phone, there's the self-expression that would have to be professional on the phone, right? As you move more into field services and you're actually going out on site, you're representing more than yourself. You're representing your team, your company. So the professionalism becomes more than just the words coming out of your mouth, but also your appearance. So there's lines to that on what is professional and what isn't professional. Really, the guidance is anything that takes away from the experience of the other person, right? Because you're out there to help them and make their day a little bit better instead of just yourself being, expressive. But there's know your audience, right? I'm not going to fix the server computer at the mechanic shop coming in with a shirt and tie, because then they become uncomfortable as well at your appearance as well. And so there's things of that nature to be aware of as well.
Yeah, I think you stated it very well. So I think there's a line, obviously, like me personally, I'm sort of dressed up for this event, but I can just as easily wear just like a plain sweater and jeans and tennis shoes in the office, and that wouldn't be a problem. So, the big thing is know your audience, like David mentioned there, and where was I going with this? I had something there. Okay, yeah, I think I remember. Unfortunately, it's the reality of the world that we live in. You will be judged by your appearance, and so if you want, I don't want to say this. First impressions go a long way, right? Once you build that rapport, then you kind of understand the relationship, and you can kind of work through that and what that may look like with your appearance and just kind of how you speak. But when you're meeting someone for the first time, all they have to go on is your appearance initially, and then how you communicate to them. So those things are very important when you are, wanting to express yourself. I think you have to kind of be a little bit more reserved, and then, depending on the circumstance, then you may be able to kind of relax that a little bit.
I think most of that was said very gracefully, and we have a professional dress code. You kind of see what I'm wearing, so that's pretty much what we have.
At Duncan Aviation, we're very inclusive. I don't care if you get pink hair, green hair, no hair, tats, But again, there are certain requirements if you're working on the floor as a mechanic, jewelry and other things that could get caught and cause an injury. Those things are kind of barred. But what you want to do, in your free time and stuff, the only thing we would ask is that you're respectful. Everyone's going to be respectful for you, but you need to be respectful to everyone else. So we just ask that you don't try to push your views, your religion, your anything on anyone else. We're all a family, We all got people in our families that some dress a little differently than others. We still love them. So that's how we view it at Duncan Aviation. Now, if you're in sales or something like that, where you're trying to sell a $75 million jet, and you're going to meet, CEOs and people from Saudi Arabia, there's going to be certain things that we would have expectations that would aid in the sale of that and the representation of the company. But for the most part, come as you are.
Yeah, great comments across the board. Know your audience is great advice. Business casual is our policy at Farmers Mutual, with the understanding that, if you're in a very important meeting with an external vendor, for example, increasing that level a little bit is advised. So there's a line, as was said, but business casual, I guess, is the short answer. So.
Yeah, we have a policy of business casual as well, with the caveat of meeting with a vendor or a government official dressed to their expectations. If they're going to come in a suit and tie, step it up a little bit. If they're coming in a little bit more relaxed, then that's okay. Typically, we don't allow shorts, but jeans and no holes is acceptable.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for the Can we give the panelists a round of applause? Thank you for the... And probably back to the students for showing up and with such good questions. That was awesome. I'm told the moderator let us go long, so we don't have 15 minutes. We've got 10 minutes. There's a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back to this room. And if you didn't get your questions answered, or if you have specific questions for any of these folks up here, they'll be spread around the room at different tables for any additional questions that you might have regarding their places of employment. Thank you. 10:50. Oh, yes, and there's refreshments up here. Plenty of refreshments. Thank you.
Getting better and better. We're going to take a picture of our panel.
I think as long as you're right.
I think you got that question first enough.
Yesterday, I didn't check my calendar last night and today.